All right. Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Jazziz Daily Brunch, the world's longest consecutive brunch meal, I believe, at this point. I am Brian Zimmerman, digital content editor of Jazziz magazine. And I have to say, as we move further and further into this new quarantine normal, last night I had a dream about getting a haircut. That's how bad it's gotten, folks. But really, one of the great pleasures of my day is being able to hear from the Jazziz fans online, people watching, people saying hello, asking the guests questions, just writing in to say, that they're enjoying the content. That really does, help us, everyone at Jazziz, feel connected to you. So thank you very much. I'm fired up for today's episode. I've got my Jazziz mug ready to go here. And I've got my Jazziz shirt ready to go too. Here, let's see if I can. Well, you could see it there, but freshly ordered for my birthday that is coming up. Both available at the Jazziz shop. And yeah, we are going full on Tonight Show mode yet again with not one, but two guests sharing the couch, so to speak. We're going to be joined first by Elan Mehler of Nouvelle Records. Now, Nouvelle, if you don't know, is a vinyl subscription service and record label that sends its members, its subscribers, 6 new records every year, exclusively on vinyl. And with beautifully curated artwork and literature, they've recorded artists like Jack DeJohnette, Bill Frisell, Kenny Werner, and the audio quality is just stunning. I've got a box set right here. As a matter of fact, I'm just showing off merch today, but I've got a box set right here. This is my Muri box set from a live concert series in Muri, Switzerland. That's Gilad Hexelman on there, Eric Harland, a bunch of amazing artists. But Elan is going to be here talking about what's coming up in season 5 of the Nouvelle subscription series, and we're very excited about that. After that, we're going to be talking to guitarist Ben Monder, who is no stranger to Nouvelle, coincidentally. He has appeared on a couple of their recordings. He's going to be playing some music for us. Ben was in the band that appeared on David Bowie's final album, Black Star, and his music was also recently featured in a Netflix documentary called The Magic Pill, which I believe is about the keto diet. His new album, Day After Day, featured unique interpretations of songs by Bob Dylan and Burt Bacharach and Quincy Jones and Glenn Campbell and a slew of others. We are going to be chatting with them both in a minute here, but first let me thank some sponsors. So thank you to Concord Jazz. Their new album, Ella 100 Live at the Apollo, is available now for streaming and purchase. It is a live recording from 2016 featuring some superb performances by the likes of Andra Day, Letticy, Liz Wright, Cassandra Wilson, Monica Mancini, not to mention the absolutely swinging Count Basie Jazz Orchestra led by Scotty Barnhart. It was hosted by Grammy Award-winning vocalist Patty Austin and Tony Award-nominated actor David Alan Grier. Like I said, it is available now. You can go stream it on your favorite streaming service or pick up a copy for yourself at concord.com. Thanks also to Blue Sound Audio. Blue Sound is another award-winning wireless high-res sound system that lets you play music in any and every room throughout your home. You choose your favorite music from a streaming service of your choice or a music library. You connect it to your home network via the free Blue OS app on your smartphone, tablet, or desktop computer, and that's it. Getting the kind of crisp and detailed sound that only an audiophile-grade system can deliver has never been easier. That's living hi-fi. We're talking about those portable speakers that you could take from house to house, the bathroom, the kitchen as you're cooking brunch, over into the living room as you wind down at the end of the day with a glass of wine. You can learn more about these products at bluesound.com or on our website, jazziz.com, where we have put together a Blue Sound buyer's guide. Speaking of website, real quickly, I want to mention that our May 2020 digital issue is now available. Jeff, I don't know if you're able to pull that up on screen, but these are the digital issues that we put out every month in addition to our quarterly print issues. May issue is heavy on contemporary jazz, if that's your thing. We've got a cover story on Bob James, keyboardist, who has become famous in hip-hop circles, one of the most widely sampled artists, jazz artists in hip-hop. We've got a Q&A with Boney James in there. We also have an article on the South African pianist Nduduzo Makatini. It's kind of a new sensation on Blue Note Records. We have a phono preamp guide. It's a pretty sweet issue. It is a lot of the content is available for subscribers only. So if you're not a subscriber, today is the day to become one. This will be delivered to your inbox this Friday, but all this content is available right now for you to check out. We've got reviews, playlists, It's a really good issue. I'm really proud of it. We're offering a special 99 cents for 3 months. We'll get you unlimited digital access for those 3 months, and it will enroll you to receive a complimentary print issue come June 2020 when we release our next print issue. Before we bring Elan in, I just want to remind people watching at home, I don't have to be the only one asking questions. Feel free to drop us a line just to say hello, ask a question to Elan, to Ben, to me, whatever you want. It's very casual. This is the brunch after all. So without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome our guest, Elan Mehler.
Hello.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Pretty good, dude. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm making everybody feel better about their haircut.
You are rocking the curls, man. No, I dig it. If mine wasn't wet and just like cemented down with hair gel, it'd be very similar.
No, I'm trying to gauge so people can tune in and know exactly how long the quarantine's been going
exactly.
on.
Judging by Elan's fro.
So, yeah. Keep track for people.
Well, welcome to the show, man. We go back a little ways. I've been covering your stuff for a long time. I had the pleasure of joining you on a recording session with the Owl Trio and Kurt Elling a little while back. Well, it was just incredible. So I've seen your work. I've seen how meticulous and professional you are about it. And I've seen the finished product, just how beautiful, these box sets are for audiophiles, for vinyl freaks. If you don't know about Nouvelle, now's the time to get on the Nouvelle train. I tried to do, a little bit of a description of what Nouvelle is, but can you elaborate a little more? When did you found the company, and what was your mission back then? What do you want to bring to the table?
So yeah, I guess we founded the company when I was living in France. That was in 2015, and it was really about like I'm a pianist, and I've been lucky to get signed to a couple of labels, and I was sort of just looking at I'm not really an audiophile background. Like I grew up loving records, and I grew up, with a decent system, but I was not like deep in the audiophile world because that world goes very deep. Yeah. But I was looking at the model of the way that I was releasing records and the way the people that I knew, and I really thought about, is there another way to make this work? So I would sign a contract that was like, I'd have to get a lawyer to look at it, and
right.
Wrong, and then percentages here and there, and it wasn't like the record label is stroking their chin, thinking like, oh, the money is in an Elan Mehler live recording. It's not like they were trying to take advantage of me. It's just right. that there was, and they weren't. They were great supporters of my music. I'm not putting that, but I was just looking at it, being like, okay, nobody's winning with this with this model.
Right.
I was looking at the rise of vinyl, and I was like, okay, what if we built something like a model where the contract is one page, no lawyers, we do a one-page contract, and that was the start of it. And I was like, okay, well, how would we build that? Okay, well, what if we own the vinyl rights and the artist owned the digital rights, and then very, very, very simply like that. Most artists aren't releasing on vinyl anyways because it's very expensive. And I was like, okay, well, how do we build that market? And so then when I met my partner, Jean-Christophe Morceau, in Paris, he comes from a luxury background, and he was like, okay, the way we make this work is we build something, we cut no corners, we go exclusive on vinyl, we do a subscription, a box set, we work, and so it all sort of spun out from there. And then we can build a community, a relatively small community that wants to see this music first on vinyl, to see it without any corners cut. And they can support this model where we get to bring in artists, and I could say, like, what's your dream recording? Or what's a recording you've always thought about doing but didn't find the right outlet for it. So that's how we spin this thing forward.
Totally. And you have had some really unique recording sessions, and we'll get to those in a minute. And I just want you to lay out here, if you can, if you were to become a subscriber, what is it that you get?
Oh, yeah. So, well, I can show you one of these. So basically if you become a subscriber, we have seasons. I have 5 seasons up here. I'm missing the second season. This is the Maury season. But basically, you get a box set with one record that gets sent to you if it's the current season. So you get this with the first record in this season is Noah Preminger's record, and none of these are reissues. We record everything at East Side Sound in New York specifically for Nouvelle. So this record is Noah Preminger, Jason Moran's playing piano, Kim Cass, Marcus Gilmore. Badass group of musicians.
For sure.
And it's Noah Preminger. He's playing music from Otto Preminger, which was like this project he'd been thinking about for 15 years. I know Noah pretty well, but it's his great
uncle or something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
And so he's
been director, and it's a project that it's a passion project of his. He wanted to do it for a long time, and you helped him realize it. Yeah.
So you get one record, and then 6 weeks later, oops, sorry, so you can see this. 6 weeks later, you would get another record, and until the box is filled, and so you have all 6 records here, and they're all sort of. I'll just do a quick sort of idea. We do different artwork on each. This is Eddie Paz, who's actually a great. I don't know if you know his music, but he's a great saxophone player and clarinetist. He plays on the Francisco Mela record. But he showed me some of his artwork, and I was blown away. So for this stuff, he does all 6 covers. He does this abstract art, and then we did this detail from it, and he's based these all on the records. And then I'll just show what the record looks like because they're special looking. And then we publish short stories in 6 chapters sometimes, or we publish poetry, or we work with different writers. And this is what the actual vinyl looks like. So we press in clear vinyl.
Very cool, man.
That's sort of what it looks like.
It's a great collector's item. It's rare to see things like liner notes anymore, and you guys really get creative with them. I remember that short story you did in the 6 installments. That was cool.
Yeah, Tim's a great writer.
And worked with some top tier poets as well.
We had on the first. It's funny you mentioned Ben Monder and the David Bowie record. Because on our first season of records, we did another Noah Preminger record. That's when I met Noah, actually, through Frank Kimbrough. And he brought in Ben to play on his record. And we were working with this poet, Tracy K. Smith, who, was, she's won a Pulitzer. She was the poet laureate for the United States. Yeah. And so, and that's the beauty of this project is we bring it to people and say, here's what we're doing. And people tend to say yes because they're excited about it. You can see that we're not... we're about creating something beautiful, and we're not trying to cut corners. So Tracy said yes. Anyway, so this is before Black Star came out, and there's this poem that she wrote that's about. It's not about David Bowie, but David Bowie's sort of central in the poem. And I was like, I was curating sort of the poems to match the music, and I picked that one to go on Noah's record. But it was before Black Star came out. It was before they'd even recorded it. So I didn't even know that Ben Monder was going to be on, that connection. And then, right before the record came out, Black Star was released. Bowie had just passed away, and there's this poem about Bowie and the first thing you hear is Ben sing. And it was just sort of it's one of the things
serendipitous, cosmic moment.
Yeah, and that's because we have the art and the literature and the music sort of separate. It's not the art isn't about the music per se.
Right. You're really showcasing, 3 different artists in a lot of ways,
Right. So we have these 3 sort of chains of, and because they're set up that way, but we're, I'm curating it and it's happening at the same time. There's these little points of connection where sparks come off and really cool things can happen like that, which is really exciting.
Totally. And what else is cool about Nouvelle is you do become part of this community. I know becoming a Nouvelle subscriber, you have listening sessions. You've been doing your own listening sessions Tuesday nights, right?
Yeah. Right. 8:30. You can find that on our Facebook page. We do it as a Zoom thing. We try and bring people in. And so we've just been starting that.
You're spinning the vinyl.
Rangers coming on
That's right.
Tuesday. But we're hoping to get everybody. We have a pretty good roster at this point. This is our 6th year of records. So we've worked with some pretty amazing artists.
Totally. Across those 6 seasons, some really unique recording sessions too. I mentioned that you recorded Jack DeJohnette, but I was saving the surprise, which was that this was not a drum recording. This was not an ensemble recording. This was him playing piano.
Yes. Yeah. He was one of the first people I went to, actually. And again, it's people saying yes. The first person I went to was Frank Kimbrough. He's an old teacher of mine, and he did this really beautiful record for our first season. And then I sent an email to Jack DeJohnette, and I didn't have a connection with him. People sort of assume that we must have gone back, but I sent an email through his website. Just saying hi, I'm starting a record label.
It's like the submit page, contact me page.
Yeah. And I told him I was interested in doing a solo piano record with him, and because the first concert I'd ever been to was a Gateway Trio concert when I was 14 at the Regatta Bar in Boston.
Wow.
Which is a great place to start. And I remember Jack played piano there, and I was holy smokes, as a kid to see him, to see that as a pianist. And and I know he'd never done a solo piano record. He'd done one piano record, but it was trio and it had some keyboard on it also. So I reached out to him, and he came back. Sort of, we had dinner later that week, and he sort of signed up. He was really excited about the project. He had a specific piano that he wanted. He was sort of like he talked to Herbie Hancock, and Herbie told him which piano to get. So he was like, yeah, I'd like to work with Fazioli. And I was like, okay, Fazioli's going to be tricky, but we'll see if we can make it work. And he was like, no, this Fazioli. And I was like, okay, all right. Yeah, but again,
so you had to ship it in, wheel it in.
Yeah, we did, and that was a really special project. We had he would come down every week to work on the piano from upstate New York. So on Friday, he'd come in and practice just to get used to that piano. For 6 weeks, he came every Friday. And that piano, I sent an email to the guy and I said, "This is the project," and he gave us the piano. We didn't even rent it. I mean, so this is a Clavier house, sort of loaned us the piano so that we could. So yeah, it just sort of spins forward.
It's a great record, and not many people know that Jack Deschanette is probably as good of a piano player as he is a drummer. Just a phenomenal keyboardist. You got to do some really interesting stuff with Rufus Reid, the bassist. A lot of people know him, again, from that straight-ahead background, but you had him in a different context. These were his own compositions, which he had arranged for the string ensemble.
Yeah, it's a trio plus string quartet, the stereo quartet. Yeah, which was a really special to me also. I mean, he's really a composer.
Yeah.
Rufus, like, again, people know. I mean, now I think people know Rufus is a composer, and just because he's doing a lot of it. But really, like, I mean, he wrote the string quartet music, and I wasn't sure what to expect, and I was worried that it would be sort of milk toast kind of like add some Rufus Reid plus strings,
right?
And it was just like, I mean, he wrote his ass off. It was very like. Modern's not the right word. Just original and beautiful and melodic, totally. and really composed. Like, I mean, he worked. It was amazing to see how much care, and he was really an example. As sort of an older musician coming in and being like, I told him it's 40 minutes, so he had the whole programmed out. He was like, okay, this is going to be 39 minutes, and he was like, this is going to be
a real pro, man.
Yeah, just like a real pro, and
And it's been so cool to see sides of musicians that you don't normally get to see from other labels. You also had a very cool story in Billy Lester, pianist, who was living in Yonkers at the time, teaching, kind of under the radar.
Yeah.
How'd you link up with Billy Lester, and what's that story?
We actually, Billy's been living in Yonkers his whole life. Actually, he's in his early 70s, and he was a student of Sal Mosca, who was like, a great educator and player, and comes from Lenny Tristano School, sort of the direct descendant from Tristano. And I met him at a jazz congress, which is like this jazz conference that happens every year. That's really like, it's a I don't know. It's an interesting vibe there, but it's not where you go generally to meet musicians.
Right. It's a little more academic. Yeah.
Hand you you've never heard of them, and they hand you a CD. You go, okay, thank you. And Billy was there. I think we were both like socially inept and hiding in the corner, and sort of like, hi, who are you?
Two wildflowers grow toward each other. Yeah.
Exactly. I had one. So he handed me the CD, and I was sort of like, and he was very intense. He was like, if I give this to you, are you going to listen to it? And I was like, yeah, I'll listen to it. He was like, will you listen to it? And I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to it. And then like I put it on, and I was just blown away. Like he's got that that like capital I improvisation. He's from that school where everything has to be brand new every time. Like
no licks.
Yeah, no licks.
No patterns. Right.
No licks, no patterns, no like, and he doesn't. I don't know. There's this like amazing honesty to his playing that I really connected with, and I sent it to a couple of people, and I was like, "Is this as good as I think it is?" And people were, So I called Rufus because I'd worked with Rufus Reid, and we had Matt Wilson playing drums, and they came in and played standards, and it's one of my favorite records we've done, and it's really, really special. And he got some attention from it that was really great, and we played a show at the Standard, and it's been really exciting to see him sort of take off a little bit and be sort of a little bit more known.
Cool, man. Before we get into season 5, because I know you're eager to show off some stuff and tell us what's coming up, I'm curious. A lot of people know of this vinyl renaissance, which I wrote an article on you. I said, if you could track it back in jazz, to a handful of guys, you are among them. But for the people out there who say, hey man, music's music, I'm just going to listen to it on my phone with the free pair of headphones I got from my, office holiday Christmas party or whatever. What's your argument to them of why the vinyl experience is different?
Okay. Yeah. Well, first of all, if you want to listen to music on your regular headphones,
that's right. That's everyone's right. That's their prerogative.
Listen to music however you want to listen to music. I mean, unless you're listening on your actual speakers of your phone, that's bad for your soul. But but outside of that, I'm again, like I said, I'm not someone who's like, this is only one way to listen to music the best. I can tell you why I think the vinyl renaissance is happening. It's happened essentially. Like, I mean, vinyl is the physical medium for music.
Yeah.
And I think it's digital makes things so ephemeral. So like disposable is too strong a word, but it's just everywhere. And we see this not just in music, but in all the arts.
Right.
And everything is so convenient, and just like you want to hear Keith Jarrett, you just like you hit a button and you have 1,000 hours of Keith Jarrett. He's
on in the background,
just a deluge of stuff.
Right.
And I think there's a real thirst for like this physicality, this like not just like what's a tangible thing in the world, like the actual object. I think is so important, and I think it's okay. Like a lot of vinyl heads, we'll talk about the audio quality, and I prefer audio quality on vinyl. For me, it's warmer. I'm more connected to it. But I think there's also that physical, like switching, turning the record over. Like you're still connected to the music somehow.
Right.
Like I'll even like you leave a record on your turntable. When you go to play music, maybe you play that one again, because it's right there, like you can fall in love with a record. You buy something and you listen to it a number of times. It's not on a playlist. Like it's a totally different experience, I think.
100%, and then adding the tactile quality of the album sleeve, of the liner notes, like you say, the physical motion of having to pay attention to the record, when flip it over. Because I can't tell you how many times I put on like an Art Blakey thing, for a Lee Morgan solo I love, and it's on the background. I'm just working. I totally miss it. I tune out. And Lee Morgan deserves better. Right. But yeah, man. And shout out to your engineer too, because, and what remind me of his name?
Mark Urselli. He's done every record for us. Yeah.
Magic touch, man.
Yeah. He's one of the great living engineers. And I met him because I did my first record as a pianist on Brownswood. It was 2007. It's called Scheme for Thought. And Brownswood's based in London, but they actually sent me to East Side Sound because they wanted me to work with Mark.
Okay.
And that's how I met Mark. And then I was like, if I ever, get a chance to do something, this is the guy. And it was my first record, so I didn't really realize how good he was until I like 10 years later, I was like, holy smokes.
The audio quality is superb. This is 180 gram vinyl. These are amazing products. And so I'd love to know what's coming. You're in season 5. You're in the midst of season right now. Well, kind of at the beginning, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Just released our second record, which Ben Monder is on. Here, I'll show you. This is this is what the season looks like. It's this photography by Tim Barber, which I'm really amazed by. This is the new record that's coming out. So we mentioned some names already. Rufus Reid came into the second record, and his duo was Sullivan Fortner. That one just came out last month.
Yeah,
and it's like a really special recording.
Sullivan's an amazing young pianist. Just can really do it all. Great touch. Yeah. So technical facility is there. Soul is there. That was a good record too, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know Sullivan Fortner playing, then this is a great way to check him out too, because he's got as much technique as any pianist I've ever heard, and he doesn't have any flash to his playing.
Right.
It's not
showing off.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And there's this real connection between him and Rufus. They did the record everything was first, second takes. So that was really exciting. And this record that just came out, this is Pablo Ablanedo's record. This is called Chris Treza. So Pablo Ablanedo is another interesting story. A He's another piano teacher. I met him in Boston, and he's a composer, but he's mostly working as a teacher. He's not touring or anything these days. He's from Argentina originally, but he had a band in 2001, 99 to 2001, and it featured like this murderer's row of players. It was Ben Monder was playing with him, Chris Cheek, Jenny Scheinman, Anat Cohen, Avishai Cohen was playing with him, Jerome Sabag. In the rhythm section was Franco Pina, who's this incredible drummer. Fernando Huerga was playing bass. So they did a couple of albums on Fresh Sounds, I think, in '99, and Pablo was commuting from Boston, and then he's been up here in Boston, and he's still playing regularly, but sort of more locally. And I met with him, and I heard some of his old recordings, and I was like, man, if we could get that band together, and I really thought it was very unlikely, because Jenny Scheinman lives in California, and Anat Cohen, but all these people's touring schedules are nuts.
Yeah.
And everybody was so excited about doing it. It came together really fast. It's a gorgeous record. So I'm really excited about that. And then I'll just talk quickly about some of the other artists in this season. I did my first record is coming out next. So I didn't want to release my own music on Nouvelle just because I don't want to make another vanity label. But 5 years in, I actually went to Dave. I've been talking to Dave Douglas, who's always been like a hero of mine, about doing a project, and he was sort of like, yeah, I'll do it, but I wanted, let's do it together, because we had done a gig together the previous year, and I was sort of like, what am I going to say no to? So me and Dave wrote this record together, and it's based on their settings of haikus with Dominique Eade, a great vocalist, singing, and it's with Simone Wilson, one bass player I grew up with. So that's coming out in about a month. That'll be the next one.
Okay.
We have the Owl Trio with Kurt Elling. We've got Carmen Stoff came and did a trio record, and Patrick Zimmerly did a trio record with who's on that? That's Kevin Hayes is playing piano. It's a really special sort of series. You can check out, if you go to Nouvelle Records, you can click on listen. There's sort of samples from every record. There's videos. There's really nicely produced.
Yeah, you guys put out some nice videos too to go along with this stuff. Yeah. And if people sign up now, they get all the records for season 5. Is that how that works?
Yeah, it depends. If you want to buy one of the older seasons, like any of these seasons up here, season 1 through 4, we also have some Bill Frisell records that are really pretty amazing. We did two duo records with Bill Frisell, one on season 3 and one on season 4. One with Greg Hardy and with Schooley Saracen. So if you buy one of the old box sets, if they're available, then you get the whole box set at once. If you buy the new box set, you would get the first 2 records because those are already out. Yeah. Going out, and then you get the next 4 as we release them.
Very cool, man. And I showed off my Muri. How do you say that? How to switch aside?
Yeah, Muri.
Muri. So I have my Muri box set, but tell me, you've got something in the works for New Orleans?
Yes. Yeah. So we're doing our first. We did this Muri set, which was produced by Stefan Dietelm in Switzerland, and now I've been going down to New Orleans. We're doing a set of recordings down there, which has been pretty amazing. We did a record with Irma Thomas, great soul legend.
Yeah.
We did a record with Little Freddie King, who's like this blues. I mean, just these legendary sort of statesmen of New Orleans, and really centered in the New Orleans scene. And John Cleary, who's a great New Orleans pianist.
Yeah.
And we did a record. We did Ellis Marsalis's record with Jason Marsalis. They did a duo record. Which is, I flew down for that, and that was in late February. Ellis passed.
That must have been one of the last things he recorded, if not the
last thing he did. And we also recorded his last concert because all this, there's a documentary involved in that. The whole product was produced by Ben Chase. So we're doing a whole film based on these series of records, and we're doing these records. And he also filmed the last concert he ever did at Snug Harbor. So it was really this testament. And Ellis was playing beautiful, beautiful stuff. He did a lot of solo piano stuff and some duo stuff with his son. So I'm really excited about that too.
Yeah. And when can we expect that?
Well, in the fall. Okay. We're aiming for September, October to release. It's hard to predict the world at the moment, but that's what we're looking at.
Man. I know. And I'm sure things are going to change, in terms of recording, how we put together albums now, getting musicians in the same room. And
yeah, all of it's very up in the air, right?
To the unknown, right? Well, hey, Elan, Ben is actually backstage, and I know, like I mentioned, he's no stranger to Nouvelle, so we could bring him on and we could all rap for a bit. Ben, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
How you doing, Elan?
Good to see you, man.
See you.
Yeah, Ben, you have recorded on Nouvelle Records. And so my first question to you is, did you have the donuts? Did Elan hook you up with the donuts?
I don't especially remember donuts specifically, but there was some really, like, the best Middle Eastern food I've ever had, and I'll always remember that.
Yeah, as a jazz producer, like the main job.
I mean, it was astounding.
The donuts were legendary, man. I guess your recording session may have been pre-donuts, but there's a place around the corner from.
Well, it wasn't that long ago.
Oh, okay, Elan, what's going on, man?
Hey, you owe me some donuts.
Donuts.
Well, very cool. Ben, glad to have you on. And Elan, it was an absolute pleasure talking with you, man. Again, if people want to sign up for a subscription, what's the best way to do that? Where can they go?
So yeah, go to nouvellerecords.com. You can just type it in to Google. Nouvelle is Nevelle, or nouvellerecords.com. And right there, there'll be a list of any of the 5 seasons that we have out, 6 with Maury, the live series, and you can sign up right there.
Right on, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Brian.
You are absolutely welcome. I am a huge fan. I love your stuff. And we mentioned the listening sessions. I have occasionally sat in and listened myself, and I invite you to do so as well. Just go to the Nouvelle Facebook page.
Yeah, you can find it on the Facebook page. There are Zoom sessions, so we have a reminder. You can sign up, and those are happening every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern Time.
Cool. Right on. Elan, thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
See you later.
Later on.
Bye. Hey, Ben.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good, about as good as we can be during these times. I was telling people at the start of the show, it's getting weird. I was having dreams about giving myself a haircut, so I may have to get on that. How have you been staying sane, keeping busy?
I haven't not given myself a haircut in like 20 years.
Right. Really?
Maybe that's not so advisable, but it's funny.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You have recorded with Elan. As a producer, what does he do well?
Kind of lets the leader's vision, blossom, and it kind of stays out of our way and provides a really supportive environment. Brings in the best possible food
Yeah, that's about
And I love the concept of an all vinyl.
Yeah.
release.
Yeah. It's really a special label he's got going on. Let's see. I'm getting notes from producer. Are you on a laptop, Ben? Because I think your mic is far away.
Oh, do I sound faint?
A little bit.
Okay, hang on. I actually thought I would
There you
do
go.
better by having an external mic. So I kind of put it in the middle of the room. But how's that? Better?
Much better. And that was it. Cool. Before we get into, I just want to wrap about a few things. The new album, what's going on with you, and what you may be working on. But I have to take a quick minute here to thank some other sponsors. Let me pull those up. I can tell you right off the bat that they would include Mac Avenue Records, a label that has been putting us on the road to great music for 20 years now. If you want to start spinning some new Mac Avenue stuff right now, check out the latest album by saxophonist Jimmy Green. It's called While Looking Up, or maybe you're into Tower of Power. I know I certainly am. They've got a new album out called Step Up right now, both available for streaming and purchase. To order them for yourself, check out macavenue.com. Thanks also to Smoke Sessions Records, a great label out of Manhattan. They also have a club up there in Upper Manhattan. Their latest album is The Intangible In Between from Orrin Evans and the Captain Black Big Band. Orrin Evans is a pianist. He's also the newest member of the Bad Plus. So the Captain Black Big Band is his signature big band, and he can really write for a big band. So it's a great record. To learn more or pre-order a copy, check out smokesessionsrecords.com. All righty. So Ben, yeah, as we mentioned, the new normal that we're living in. How have you been keeping busy? Or have you been shedding? You've been listening to a lot. What's going on?
Yeah, every time I talk to a friend or another musician, it's pretty much the same story. I've just been like shedding like 8 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or homeschooling my kids, depending on what the situation is.
Oh, me too. I am right there with you. Well, I have a 3-year-old and a 4-month-old. So the homeschooling is basically just making sure they don't destroy the place. But, it's so funny. We'll get the age we live in. My wife and I both work. And, sometimes we both got to work. And the last recourse is just putting on Frozen 2 or Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and, letting the TV be the babysitter. We get these reminders from the preschool every day. Recommended screen time is only 15 minutes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's certainly.
Anyway, so I've been picking up I've had a lot of like writing projects laying around and that I hadn't really had time to get to. Because of running around so much, and now that there's absolutely no running around, just finishing some tunes, practicing the tunes, basically it. And then then late at night I'll go for a run when there's no one around and I don't have to wear a mask.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've just been living the hermit's life.
Is it so much of jazz music is communication, on the bandstand or in the studio. Does that muscle atrophy at all, during these periods of quarantine? Or
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of decades of playing with people. It might take a while before. I mean, it might actually help. Things might actually feel that much fresher when we all get back.
And this is all we're done with. I mean, I want to talk about Day After Day, which was a great record.
Okay.
And I love, the kind of direction for it because you have long wanted to cover the work of, other composers, especially outside of the jazz genre. So I'm curious as to, was there a common thread between the songs there? And you got songs by, I mentioned up front, Bob Dylan, Burt Bacharach, Quincy Jones, Glenn Campbell. Was there a common thread, or were these just tunes that you'd always wanted to cover?
Some I've always wanted to cover, and some I learned relatively recently, or relatively close to the recording. But they were all tunes that I really liked, and thought that they would be good vehicles to either arrange or to improvise on. And when we went in, we recorded a lot more than what got onto the record. I mean, it's just kind of a long and not that interesting story of how the record came about. But originally, it was just going to be a trio record, and I had a grant to produce something. Originally, it was going to be all originals, and I just had writer's block forever and just wasn't writing anything. So it was kind of like a fallback plan, just go into the studio and record a bunch of tunes, which I'd never really done a record like that anyway, so it was a good opportunity to do it. We recorded probably like 20, 25 tunes with the trio, and pretty much hated 95% of what I did. So I thought, all right, maybe I could have like half a record of this and half a record of solo arrangements, which I'd started doing. So that's kind of how that came about.
What I like about this kind of constellation of tunes is, in comparison to something like covering somebody's songbook, a Bob Dylan songbook or a great American songbook, which is a very horizontal plane to categorize music. You put the tunes on a vertical plane and you get to see some of the similarities, between an Oliver Messiaen tune and a Bob Dylan. And I've always thought that was a very interesting way to think about music, vertically through genre, wherein you can start to see similarities between someone like Thelonious Monk and Kurt Cobain or something like that, in that they both write similar kind of, primal melodies that are also very complex and, have this quality. So I think
I'd never thought about that angle, but
it's cool that you kind of juxtapose the songs that way. You And again, this is through your own filter and your own style, but you do kind of get to see some common threads down vertically through the music as opposed to horizontally.
Yeah, I mean, I think what appealed to me about most of the songs I chose were that they had compelling harmonies.
Yeah.
And you know, they're all dealing with a relatively tonal language, so there's going to inevitably be some common thread there. Strong melody is, you know, is common to all of those tunes. You know, yeah, whether it's by Messiaen or Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
So
nice, man. Ben, I understand you have your guitar nearby.
It's very nearby. In fact, it's right here.
Within hand's reach. Hey, man, we would love to hear some music. And I know it's not ideal conditions here with the, over the air, but your
this
voice
won't be
is
a first, but it'll be maybe like a second or third.
Okay.
For me doing this. Maybe, oh, okay. Can you hear the guitar okay?
Me, yeah. Jeff, producer Jeff, is that all right?
I could actually move the mic closer to where the amp is, if that helps. How's this?
Yeah, that's good to me. Yeah, man. Beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you. Who were some of your solo guitar heroes? You know, people with really unique approaches to voice leading that you grew up listening to and developing your own sound.
Well, probably the first solo guitar record I heard, or almost the first jazz record I heard, was Joe Pass, Virtuoso 1.
Yeah.
So that's pretty influential. I mean, it was just kind of astounding what he was doing, what he can do.
Oh, Ben, yeah.
Yes.
Another early influence was Ted Green, his solo record. You know, and when I got that record, I'd always heard from people that, you know, as great as this record is, when he actually plays live or when he improvises, it's like so much better. But it was like 30 years before we could actually see that happen on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
So, but it's true. He was, just a genius. Ralph Towner is a huge influence.
I can hear that. Yeah.
Egberto Gismonti's his solo guitar stuff is pretty mind-blowing, unique. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, Ben, in jazz circles, you talk, and not even jazz circles, people talk a lot. They say, Ben Monder was in Donny McCaslin's band, which was on the David Bowie Black Star album, which just kind of matter-of-factly said like that. But I'm kind of curious as to how that whole arrangement came to be. How, Ben, because Donny, you were in Donny's group, and I'm not sure of the story how Donny was asked by David to appear on that album.
Well, the whole thing started back when Maria Schneider and David collaborated on the song "Sue."
Right.
Okay. So there's a big band version of that, as well as the one that Donny arranged, which is on Black Star. And so everyone met at that point. And I think Maria suggested Donny's band as, possibly, maybe you guys could collaborate or do something. And I wasn't really actively playing with him at that time. Like Donny and I go way back to, I think, the early 90s when he moved to New York and we started playing. And I'd been in a version of his quartet for a number of years. And, we'd always been in touch. But his core band was with keyboard with Jason Lindner,
right,
Mark Juliana, and Tim LaFave.
Yeah.
And so that's the band that David went to the 55 bar to see. And the things just sort of, I think, slowly coalesced. Like it wasn't necessarily like I'm going to make my next record with you guys, but it was just like, let's just see what happens. And then Donny asked me, at some point during the process, like if we need a guitarist, would you want to do that? I was like, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, man.
I think I could be free for that. So I'm very grateful to Donny and Maria as well for that opportunity.
Was David hands-on during that recording session?
He was always there. He was hands-on in the sense that he had a vision. He was present. He provided a really, great, supportive, a positive environment. But he also did not micromanage at all. So he kind of let us all come up with our own parts, as long as it retained the character of the songs. We had a lot of freedom.
And you, I imagine, grew up listening to Bowie?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My clock radio would like wake me up with I'm spacing on the name because I'm on camera, but yeah, it was pretty much a soundtrack to my junior high school and high school years.
And
Young Americans is what.
Young Americans, yeah. Oh, dude, I love that tune. And you had never met him before, prior to playing with him, or had you?
No. No.
Wow. A little bit starstruck, or no?
I kind of was.
But you had to.
I felt more awkward, like just socially with him. I felt like, once we were in the studio, I'm just like, okay, I'm doing my job. I've done this like a million times.
Right.
Just deal with the music, and that felt pretty natural. But yeah, it was a little awkward. But he did make an effort to dispel that kind of like rock star aura. He definitely went out of his way to make people comfortable. So I appreciated that.
Very nice. Very nice. Ben, your music was recently on a pretty big platform for any artist, that being Netflix. Netflix. Yeah. And it's featured in the documentary. Was it The Magic Pill?
Right.
Which is all about the keto diet. That's the all fat diet, I think. Right.
I don't think that's how they would
it's not how they advertise it. But okay, heavy on the fat. That's maybe what I've been on these past.
Haagen-Dazs diet.
Exactly. That's what I've been on the past couple months.
I honestly don't know that much about it, other than having seen the movie. A production assistant emailed me like kind of out of the blue and said, he was a guitarist and he knew of my music and just had this idea to include it as this part of the soundtrack to this documentary he was making about food. So I was like, yeah, go for it. And I just sent him, or maybe I didn't even send him my records, but he just like got them on iTunes or something. And he made all the decisions as far as how to score specific scenes. And he also somewhat edited the tunes just so that it would fit the action in a more natural way. But I was fine with that. I'm not that precious about it.
Yeah, but
so that was it. Like I just kind of sat back and like let them do all the work. I didn't have to lift a finger really.
It's always nice when that happens. But it's very cool. Right. It's I have seen only bits and pieces of it, but if you are interested in, it's not the all fat diet, but for lack of a better term, the all fat diet. Anyone hear some great music?
I think it's like animal proteins, animal fats,
right?
Vegetables, no processed food. I think the central message is like avoid processed food, which is
protein based. It's again, don't take dietary advice from me. I've been eating pretzels and goldfish and Haagen-Dazs for 2 months. So man. Ben, quickly before we go, and I hate to put you in a context where you have to play anything quickly, but is it okay just maybe one more short tune?
Yeah, sure.
Right on, man.
See what I can do here. Just put the mic back.
Yes. I'll remember April, and we certainly will remember April as one of the stranger months on record.
Yes.
But yeah, man, that was beautiful. I've heard you perform that before. Always nice to hear it in the solo context and on my private computer screen. So thanks, man. Ben, this has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. If people want to stay up to date, follow you along, see what's going on, what's the best place to do that?
Probably have a Facebook
Okay.
page. I need to revamp and update my website, which I haven't done in about a year and a half. So that would not be the place. But yeah, if I ever have a gig again, it'll be posted on Facebook.
I hope you will, man. I certainly think you will. As for when,
yeah,
we shall see. We shall see. Things are going to look different after this. But hey, man, it has been an absolute pleasure talking with you. And
me too. Thank you.
I wish you well, man. Stay safe.
All right.
Stay healthy. Take care.
Bye.
So long. All right. That'll do it for today's show. A nice little double header for you with Elan Mehler and Ben Monder. Always a pleasure talking to them. Quick programming update. Again, we are going to wrap up the week tomorrow, Friday, with Jay Beckenstein of Spyro Gyra. And we're going to be kicking things off on May 11th in our new time slot of 5 p.m. We're moving the brunch into the evening. We're calling it the happy hour, and we hope you stick around. We hope you can join us. We think that's going to make it a little bit easier for people, after they wrap up work or whatnot, to come join us and hang out for some great conversation. We're going to try that time slot out for a while. If you want us to go even later into 8 p.m., you'll just have to let us know. We do it all for you folks. Again, in that week, we've got a nice collection of guests as well. We're going to start things off with some of the guys from Go Go Penguin. On the 12th, we're going to be chatting with Eric Alexander, a really great saxophonist out of New York. The 13th is going to be a special episode with Michael Imperioli of The Sopranos. You know him from The Sopranos, but he's actually a huge jazz fan. He is going to be talking with us about his new podcast, The Sopranos Podcast, and we're going to be followed afterward by Terrence Blanchard. Michael and Terrence worked together on the Spike Lee movie Son of Sam. Terrence has produced the music for another movie, so we're going to have them on the show. That is Wednesday the 13th. Thursday, we've got Ricky Riccardi of the Louis Armstrong House Museum. He's going to be walking us through a new virtual exhibit. And then 15th, we're wrapping things up with Kat Edmondson, a vocalist in the pop jazz vein, really talented singer. And in the meantime, feel free to check out all the content we have at jazziz.com. As I mentioned, we've got a special subscription offer going right now for just 99 cents per month for 3 months. You get unlimited digital access for that month. So all the subscriber only content that's currently up on the website right now, plus all of the back issues. And we enroll you to receive our summer 2020 issue coming out in June, which is all about fusion. We have an article in there, wide-ranging interview with Chick Corea. We've got profiles of young up-and-coming fusioneers who are keeping that tradition alive. We do a deep dive into essential fusion discs. This is our May 2020 issue that Jeff has pulled up. This is the digital issue that is currently available to subscribers right now. Again, some exclusive performances from Flora Purim and Airto Moreira, an interview with Bob James and Boney James, kind of a James squared. And then, hey, independent artists or friends of independent artists, check out the Inside Track program. People ask me all the time, I'm an independent artist. I just released a record. How is it that I can get it in front of Jazziz editors for a review? Well, this is absolutely the way to do it. You go to jazziz.com, click submit your music in the top navigation bar, use our Inside Track program. You send us everything about your album. You link to it on SoundCloud or Bandcamp. You send us the album cover, the personnel, the track listing, all that stuff comes directly to my inbox. It comes directly to our European editors' inbox. We've got editors all over, and we are listening to this music. We can promise you, folks, it could wind up on a Song of the Day playlist. It could wind up in a Weekly Discover playlist. It could wind up in the pages of our magazine or on this very video interview series. We will also be announcing an Inside Track of the Week tomorrow. Every week, we're going to be selecting an album off of Inside Track and announcing it on air. So that could be you. That'll do it for me today. Thanks again to my guests, Elan Mehler and Ben Monder. We really appreciate it. We will see you tomorrow on Friday. We made it on the Jazziz Brunch. Cheers, everyone.